So again, Professor Jeff Knossos from Nora Community College, and we're looking at something a little different now. I did one video, how to do better in your math class to understand it. Now we're going to look at how to learn math so you score better on exams. Okay, this again should apply to almost every class, not just mine, so I'm hoping you'll be able to use some of these ideas to get better math test scores. Okay, so keys to getting better math test scores. Moving from classwork to homework, students will say, a couple things they might say. I've gotten the stuff in class, it seems easy, I totally get it, I go home and it means nothing to me. That's in the other video, how to make the note cards and stuff like that. So make sure you watch the other video about how to better learn math. That's about homework. But once you get off the homework, students will say, I can do it in the homework, but if you give me a quiz or a test or a final exam, I freeze, I have math anxiety, I have test anxiety. We're going to try and address that. We can't completely make those anxieties go away, but give you ways to break down the problems that maybe you can tackle them a little bit more than you have in the past. So turning good homework into a good test score. I have you writing note cards, and they have formulas and ideas from each lesson that you're using as you're learning. When you're doing the homework, you're learning how to do it. As when you're in the classroom, you're learning how to do it. After the homework, the big idea is now you got it. But maybe if you just did some homework problems, you don't really have it. You just did it. You maybe wrote some notes down, you peeked at your notes, and you did some work, punched it in the calculator, and you got the right answer. That doesn't mean you can do it on your own. So this is about dealing with that. Remember, you've got the key ideas on note cards. Okay, so we're going to move you from there to the test. You got to run your own reviews every week. Maybe they're not your own reviews. Maybe the teacher provides you with a review sheet every week. Maybe your instructor will give you a practice, session worksheet or something like that to do, which is great, because then you do that in this way. Your note card has been built with the homeworks and you do the reviews, trying not to look at that note card. But if you need to peek at the note card when you're doing the review, go ahead and peek at it. You want to keep doing the review until you can do it without peeking back. So if all you have is a written worksheet, you might have to do the problems out of order the second and third time in order to not kind of memorize the flow of how things go from start to finish. But get away from your note cards. Your math week is done when you can complete the review without the note card. Now, why I say you need your own reviews is if the teacher doesn't give you a weekly review, you have to create your own. Maybe you go back and do the even problems if they assign the odds or something along those lines, but you need something different than the homework. If you're online, maybe you could redo the homework and get new problems to try, but get away from the note card. The note card is good to focus on, but you have to get away from it when you've turned it into your own knowledge. You'll always be ready for a quiz if you do this, right? If you're getting away from the note cards every week, say class meets on Monday and Wednesday. Monday and Wednesday you have class that week, you do the work. By Sunday night, right before Monday comes again, you've gotten it, so you've done the review and you're off the note card. If you have a quiz on Monday, you're ready. If the teacher gives you a quiz on Wednesday on stuff they just taught you on Monday, then you might not be fully ready for it, but you're still prepared a bit because you did the homework. And you know that you're going to have that stuff locked down by Sunday. So if you're finding a quiz every single Wednesday, maybe adjust when you have your reviews to be done and stuff like that. But if they're giving you quizzes on Monday, you should be good to go. Okay, test, you go back to the stack of your note cards, but now it's a stack, right? It's been 3 weeks, 4 weeks since you started, and here comes a test. So now maybe you have 6, 7, 8 note cards that all have stuff on them. And now I hope you have a review sheet or some kind of practice test that you need to do. Now, as you're doing it, the first look through, you have all the note cards in front of you, and I'd like you to write from the old note cards onto a new note card for the test, only the ones you don't already know. So that gets it to a smaller group of things that you're going to need to learn between the end of that group of homeworks and the time you take the test. This still might be formulas you haven't learned yet. This still might be ideas that are giving you some trouble, but you're going to try and make a smaller list of what you need to learn so you're ready to look at a short list of stuff the night before the test. Final exam, you go to the whole semester's worth of note cards. Or if for each exam you made boiled down note cards, you could go to that group of note cards, but the final exam can cover everything. I sure hope most teachers will give you a final exam review, a practice test, something like that. and try and make sure that you don't need the note cards to get through it. But if you find something on the note cards as you're doing the final exam review, work your way through the problem while looking at the note card. Write down what you still don't know. This is now for your final exam. You have a note card or two that says what you still need to know. Because as you're studying the night before the exam, which is not your only studying, but as you're getting ready the night before the exam, there might still be a few things that are having trouble getting your mind to sort of grab them. And as some teachers like to say, have you memorize the stuff. So the note cards are going to be always your focus. As you walk into a class for an exam, you really want to make sure you have your note cards. You don't want to have this thick binder and say, wow, there's too much stuff here, I can't study now. And as you've probably guessed, when students say you can't study for math, I don't believe that. And when they say some people can do math, some people can't, I don't believe that either. There are people who find it less challenging than others, but in part it's because of the way their minds work, and you shouldn't be penalized for that. This is a way to get at that, so that you can compete for a good score by working your mind toward the test. Focusing on what you're going to get for a score on the test is different than focusing on learning math so that you'll know it next semester. And so this video is really focusing on getting the best test score. So use every tool that your teacher or instructor offers you in class. If they offer you a review sheet, if they offer you a practice test, take it. If they have 3 copies of different practice tests, take them all, okay? These are clues that teachers are using because they want you to do well. They can't just say, this is a nice person, let me give them an 85 or 90 or something like that. They want you to earn a good score. They want everyone to earn a good score. So it's not about who the teacher likes, it's about what you can do on the exam. And they're offering you these review tools to give you the best chance. The more you see it, it would seem to me the more important it is, and that it's likely to show up on the exam. Because if it's important, they want to review it a lot and they want to test you on it. So those clues are really important. Before exam 1, you don't really know what you're up against. So on exam day, we're going to have certain strategies as well. But exam 1, you don't know how to translate the review sheet into what's going to be on the test. But we're going to look at what to do on exam 1 and all the other exams as well. Start the exam with a memory dump. This is a very big, important idea. If you have formulas that you rely on that you think you might forget or mess up or something like that, find a blank page somewhere on the exam and write the formulas down that you're afraid you're going to forget by the end of the exam. It is not cheating if it's in your memory. It's a memory dump, and that's completely legal. If you peek at a piece of paper in your notes or something like that and then write it down during the exam, that's cheating because you did not rely on your memory to do that. So if you're relying on formulas, you're going to want to go to this memory dump idea. So then when you're a half hour into the exam, you're like, I wish I remembered that formula. You're like, oh good, I remembered it 25 minutes ago. I wrote it down and I flipped to that page in my notebook, my exam, and I do that. So when teachers say, no notes on the exam, that means you can't bring notes to the exam, but notes that are in your head can be rewritten on your paper, and some people find that very helpful. So the memory dump is the first thing before you even look at what's on the exam. Okay, go through the whole exam. This is my opinion. Some teachers say don't, it'll scare you, but that's when you're thinking of math as scary, and I'm trying to get you not to. So you put down your pencil after you put your name on the paper first, then down goes the pencil. Then you flip through looking at every problem to see what you're dealing with. You might be saying, I hope that's not there, I hope it's not there. Oh good, I got to the end and I didn't see the problem that I hate. Or, oh no, there's the problem that I hate, but you know it's there and you know where it is, because you don't have to go from problem 1 to problem 20 in order on the exam. It is your exam to take and use your time how you feel best to do it. So look at the whole exam, but the pencil is down. Because you don't want to jump in and say, let me just do this one. Read the whole thing. Why? Because you want to jump straight to the problems that you do the best. Whatever you're the best at, whether it's problem 1 or problem 20, go and do that first. And get your best problems done first. Save your worst problems for last because of something that's ongoing. You may not finish. You want to get all the time you can on your good problems in before you start to the problems where you're not so sure about how well you're going to do. So you want to know what you do best, and you want to find it on the exam by looking at the whole thing, go into what you do best with. There's another factor that comes in here. I call it point values matter, so look at them. All right. The amount that a question is worth plays a role in how much time you should put on it, okay? If there's a 25-point question at the end of the exam that you don't like, You don't skip it because you don't like it. You do it because it's worth 25 points. You may not do it till toward the end, but it's 25 points, and you have to know at the same time that you're saying, what am I good at? How much time do I have left? You're thinking about, where am I going to get points? And with a 25-point question, there are 25 points, 25-point question, 25 points that are up for grabs that you should go after, because if you only get 80% of them, that's 20 points. Okay, if there's a 10-point question that you're really good at and you get all 10, you're only going to get 10 points. So point values matter. So you have to combine what you're good at, how much time is left, and how much that problem is worth. If they're all worth the same, then you just deal with that as you go. They're all worth the same. But if teachers have point values for what's there, make sure you pay attention. Go for the ones with the big point values. Remember that you might not finish all the problems. That's why we look at the entire exam, go through the ones that we're best able to do, because maybe we don't finish. And we want to leave empty, if we have to, because we didn't finish, the problems on which we believe we had the least chance of being highly successful. So remember, not everyone finishes the exams. There's not much value in going up to the teacher and saying, I can do all this stuff, I know it, you know I can do it, but I ran out of time. Timing is a part of the assessment of your skills. The reason for that, I believe, is so that if you pass the test successfully in the proper amount of time, it helps the teacher recognize that in the next math class you're going to take, you're going to be fast enough to follow what the teacher is doing. If you need twice as long to complete the test, you won't be able to follow what the teacher is doing. And there's one separate issue. If you are actually entitled to extra time on tests, that's a process through your institution where you go to school. Like at Norwalk, we have this, where you apply through a process where an office looks at whether or not you should be getting extra time, and then you will get the time that you're entitled to. But you can't just ask the teacher, can I have more time? Oh, sorry, you can ask, but you're not going to get it, because the exam is based on finishing in a certain amount of time to get you ready for future classes. So do not hand in an exam early if any question on it is still blank. Even if it's something that you aren't really good at, don't leave it blank. Take a shot at getting the points. Teachers do not take off points because you did something really bad. They don't go, well, this problem was worth 10 points, but I'm going to take off 15 because their mistake was so bad. So leaving it blank is a guarantee to get none of those points, and trying for it is a way to try and get partial credit. Pay attention to how you see your teacher giving partial credit. Maybe you get part A wrong, you get 5 instead of 10, and your next 3 answers are all half as big as they're supposed to be. Your teacher may be looking for the process that you do, which is why you show your work. And they'll see, oh, this 5 went in here, here, and here, and got 4 answers that are all wrong. Can't get any of those points for the first part, but maybe the other parts where your process was right, you'll get up to 3/4 credit for that problem. So you don't want to leave any problems blank. Use all your time. Look over the grade after exam 1 very carefully. After you get exam 1 back and it's graded, it's really helpful. Bunches of information are going to be there. You can see how the practice test or the review sheets fit, how the homeworks and quizzes fit into explaining what's so important of the stuff that was taught in class. What is so important it's going to make its way onto the exam. And what you see on exam 1 may very well define the teacher's style for writing tests for the rest of the semester. So you can use it the rest of the way to help yourself plan your reviews for exams. Check your work, how and why. When you're checking your work, you have to go in knowing that if you check the work and you find that a problem is wrong, you're going to calmly retry the problem, and then if you find the correct answer in your second try, then erase what you did the first try, because the time could run out at any time. You want to have something on the paper. But if you want to replace your first try with the second try, you do that after the checking and trying. You have to stay calm when the check doesn't work. You also have to make sure that what you did in checking, which doesn't take very long in most cases, was correct before you go about trying to change your answer. How to check. Don't check by doing the whole problem again from start to finish, but rather take your answer and work backwards and see if it solves the question that you had. This is particularly true of word problems, but algebra is a good example of that. Take your answer, use arithmetic or a calculator to get back through it and see if it works forwards and backwards, and then you're good. You've got a second reason to believe your answer. If you just do the problem twice, you're probably going to do it the same way both times, whether you got it right both times or wrong both times. So that's not checking. Should you use a calculator? Yes. you should use a calculator if the teacher lets you, anytime they do. And if you're going to use a calculator on your test, you should use that same calculator on the homeworks and quizzes so you know how to do it. Teachers who know that you're going to use a calculator plan their tests to be done with a calculator, and maybe they make a 40-question test because you get a calculator instead of a 30-question test when you don't. And if you try to show off by not using your calculator and you don't finish, that's your fault. So if you're allowed to use a calculator, it hurts you not to use a calculator. How can I help make sure that I finish the whole test on time? Again, look at exam 1. How long was it? How many questions were on it? How long was allowed on average for each question? Take the amount of time given for the exam, divide by the number of questions, and that's how fast you should have been doing each question on average in order to finish. Then hopefully in the future you can ask the teacher how many questions are on the exam, and a lot of teachers will tell you that. And how long do we get? They'll say, well, you have an hour and a half, which is 90 minutes, and it's 30 questions. Divide 90 by 30, you get 3 minutes per question. Then as you're studying for the exam, make sure that you finish at a rate that's faster than 3 minutes per question. You're getting more done in 3 minutes than just one question. If it takes you longer than it would if you worked at that pace, then you need to do the review again. And doing the review again will speed you up. And then you can stop reviewing when you're getting a lot of stuff right, you're not using your note cards, and you're doing it fast enough. All right, that's it. Good luck on your tests.